A warm welcome to our meeting today. Friends, most of us are aware that there are many kinds of meditation practice on offer. What they have in common, allowing for exceptions, is that meditation requires us to withdraw for a short time from the outer world, to sit in stillness, usually with our eyes closed, and our mind concentrated on a prescribed theme. The practice demands of us a certain kind of courage. This is due to the fact that sitting still and turning inward is not our normal way of functioning, and therefore goes against the flow of our habits. As we said, meditation comes in many forms, so there is a good chance that as would-be meditators will find a form of practice that suits us. For many who teach meditation, the practice has little or nothing to do with any spiritual dimension. Rather, it is offered as a means that will be a help to us in the management of our everyday life. A little time set aside for concentration and self-calming helps strengthen our nerves and gives us a degree of self-control that stabilizes our emotions and increases our stamina and efficiency. As many secular organizations have discovered, this kind of meditation can lead to improvement in performance and reduce tension among members of staff. Meditation on this level has become popular, and it does not necessarily give attention to the nature or depth of the mind itself. Indeed, many forms of meditation make it a virtue, even a safeguard, that their teaching steers clear of in-depth psychology, philosophy, religion, spirituality, or mysticism. And this reassures many that meditation is safe and there is no risk of interference with the way of life we feel at home with. But friends, if we go back to the origins and evolution of the practice of meditation, we find that a rather different motivation also inspired people to turn within and meditate. Here there is an appreciation of the depth of our mind. There is also an openness to ways and means of transforming the mind for the better. On this side of the meditation spectrum, the notion of betterment and well-being goes deeper than the self-improvement, brought about through purely secular techniques. Betterment now involves the expansion of our consciousness and the quest for lasting peace and self-mastery. There is now a recognition of our higher potentialities based on the fact that our true nature, our true self, is not confined in the body or mind, but when truly understood and realized, turns out to be the infinite, eternal, pure being, limitless consciousness that transcends all limitations. Limitless consciousness that transcends all limitations. Well, friends, these considerations also suggest that there is a potential tug of war going on in the human heart. Part of us, in our more thoughtful moments, is aware that there is something higher and uniquely precious in our own heart, which means present in the depths of the mind itself. And yet, it may be that 90% of our mind is concentrated or is concerned with our outer life. This is understandable because, broadly speaking, we know the ways of the world and how we can set about getting what we want, although we must allow for disappointments. And this is why many current meditation techniques take their stand on this realm. In contrast, in the quest to uncover the wisdom at the core of our own being, there is at first much that is unknown and has to be taken on trust or in faith. But actually, the inclusion of the deeper dimension of meditation vastly extends the range of our possibilities for self-improvement. And our ultimate possibility is to uncover a level of our nature that is infinite, perfect, and free from all suffering. It is like the case of a museum that houses rare and precious artifacts and works of art. The outer court of the museum may have comfortable seats, pleasant fountains, nice gift shops, and so on. But the unique value of the location is derived not from these outer features, but from their rarities preserved and carefully guarded in the museum itself. And this is how it is with true meditation. The practice is a way of approach to the deeper phase of life. If we pursue it, we will be able to prove to ourselves that nothing is more interesting, expanding, and fulfilling than the inquiry into the true nature of the self. In the non-dual tradition, you may find practices that have something in common with the more popular types of meditation, particularly the breathing practice we begin with. But you will notice such practices always contain something that points beyond the ordinary conventional life of body and mind. In fact, human nature is not just in quest of relaxation and greater efficiency in our affairs. There is much truth in the lines of the Elizabethan poet Marlowe when he wrote, "Nature does teach us all to have aspiring minds. Our souls, whose faculties can comprehend the wondrous architecture of the world and measure every wandering planet's course, still climbing after knowledge infinite, and always moving as the restless spheres, wills us to wear ourselves and never rest until we reach that ripest fruit of all, that perfect bliss and soul felicity." Well, for Marlowe, the consummation in these lines is an earthly crown, which is quite an anticlimax with the non-dual teachings of the higher yoga. The climax is enlightenment. This goal is not presented in any sectarian terms. One doesn't have to be a member of a particular group or denomination to qualify. The qualification centers on our aspiring mind, our desire for knowledge infinite, and our loyalty to the quest. In fact, the goal of enlightenment is already innate as the very nature of our innermost self right now. But our habitual patterns of thought and the sense of identity with our mind serve as hindrances to this realization. So we may look upon meditation as a means not to confer on us any quality or insight we do not already possess, but to remove the obstacles that prevent us from realizing what we truly are. Friends, let us now put this principle of uncovering the light within us into practice by turning to our meditation session. We may be experienced meditators, we may be new to the practice, but whatever our position, we always approach the practice as offered here with reverence. This is because meditation is rooted in the deeper values of the human heart: peace, harmony, wisdom, self-knowledge. These values express what is best in us. Their source is the deeper reality, the one present in the many, and present in us is our I am. So let us begin by sitting for 1 or 2 minutes with reverence for that reality present in our own being and pervading the whole cosmos. Om. Now we come to our breathing practice. We breathe slowly, drawing up the in-breath as if from the navel to the spot between the eyebrows. And once we have established a rhythm, we say silently, I am light. The practice is based on a well-known physiological fact, namely that our breathing and our thinking are interrelated. We all know how, when excited, our breathing becomes short and sharp, and when really calm, our breath usually becomes slightly deeper and longer. And on the same principle, this interrelationship is made use of in this practice to calm the mind. And we'll do the breathing practice together now for about 4 minutes. Breathe slowly, drawing up the in-breath as if from the navel to the spot between the eyebrows, and release. If possible, make the in-breath and out-breath the same length. Once you have established your rhythm, we add on the in-breath, I am light. Om. conscious breathing. I am light. Long, deep breaths. Friends, light is not only physical, there is also the intellectual light of understanding. And above that, there is the light of pure consciousness, which is the light that illumines all our mental activities, yet is itself free from all limitations. The mind, with its thoughts, is in a state of variation all the time. But the light of consciousness, which reveals and empowers the mind, abides always as the innermost ground of our being. And when we affirm, I am light, as we've just been doing, I am light, we're referring to this central, indestructible principle within us. Now we come to our next practice. It's dismissing thoughts. As we pointed out, our mind is continually producing pictures which spring from our imagination, memory, hopes, fears, and so on. We need to remember our true self is not made up of these pictures. It is that interior light of our being, the light of our consciousness, our I. This ultimate light is compared with the sun, and the passing thoughts are compared to passing clouds. And I'll show you the practice on the screen. We give free scope to our mind to think, but whatever thoughts the mind brings before us, we say calmly, not wanted now. You're passing clouds. I am the sun. In this practice, we are affirming our identity not as the mind and its thoughts, but as the unchanging consciousness to which all mental processes appear and in due course disappear. So we give the mind free scope, but whatever thought appears, we hold back from being identified with it. And we do this by affirming with authority, not wanted now, you're passing clouds, I am the sun. We do this calmly. And don't worry if you find yourself getting lost in the thoughts. As soon as you become aware of your thinking process, re-establish your authority and affirm, not wanted now, you're passing clouds, I am the sun. And you'll find that your ability to do this will improve with practice and will eventually be established as one of the ways in which you manage your mind and ensure that it operates as you want it to operate and not as an independent force. So let us do the practice together now for about 5 minutes. Give free scope to your mind to think, but whatever thoughts the mind brings before you, say calmly, not wanted now, you're passing clouds, I am the sun. Oh. You are passing clouds. I am the sun. Let go. affirm your authority. I am the sun. Keep going for another minute or two. Now we come to our meditation text. One ocean of consciousness exists, infinite, all light, all bliss, ever abiding, that am I. Sentences which shed light on our deeper self have a special power and quality. The power of these words is that when they are held in our tranquilized mind, they open a way to that field of experience within us that is higher than thought, higher than feeling, higher than memory, higher than intellect, higher even than intuition. As identified with this innermost peak, so to say, of our being, we are free, complete, fulfilled, even now. And thus, our meditation texts are always in the present tense. Now, when we turn within, we don't want to drift into sleep. We want to remain as wakeful and alert as possible. Sometimes to stay awake can be a struggle. So how can we help ourselves in this matter? One way is, once again, to use our breathing as an aid to assimilating the text. For example, as we breathe in, we can say inwardly to ourselves the first line of the meditation text. One ocean of consciousness exists. And just hold it in our mind. We do the rhythm, we breathe in, hold it in our mind, breathe out. And the other parts of the meditation text can be integrated with our breath in the same way. Infinite, all light, all bliss, that am I. The main thing is to stay awake and focus within, to be alert. So friends, about the breathing, what I've just been talking about is just one way of heightening our alertness so that the text stays in the forefront of our mind and the mind stays, as we said, focused and alert. Our aim, as we hold the text or a part of it in our mind, is to allow it to sink more deeply into our consciousness and spread its influence. And one last point, every meditation text is to be taken personally, as a personal message, so to say, intended to awaken us to what we really are in essence. The pure, limitless consciousness that reveals and underlies all experience. So let us do the meditation together now for about 5 minutes. One ocean of consciousness exists, infinite, all light, all bliss, ever abiding, that am I. Om. One ocean of consciousness exists, infinite, all light, all bliss, ever abiding, that am I. Om. Bring your mind back to the text. And stay awake within. One ocean of consciousness exists, infinite, all light, all bliss, ever abiding, that am I. One life runs through all, and inwardly we are connected with the inner life of all. Our good thoughts add to the spirit of harmony in the phenomenal world, and also opens us to receive the thoughts of peace and power emanating from others. So let us for a minute or two consciously intensify our wish for peace and goodwill as our contribution in the realm of thought to the good of all. And we do this for a minute or two. Thank you for your participation.